Hi guys, welcome to another episode of That Gardener channel. Today we wanted to talk about a really exciting vegetable that we absolutely love growing. It's chilies. We actually grow several different kinds of chilies. We have the long red cayenne chilies, we have the bullet chilies which you see here. We have also the green chilies also next to the red chilies here. And we also grow quite a bit of the ornamental black chilies as well. It grows year to year. This is the third year that we have the same plants growing. We have a very moderate climate here, so we don't have a very harsh winter, so it does quite well. And even if you do have winter in your part of the region, you can always bring them indoors in pots and you can winterize them and then bring them outside when the temperature is slightly better. With the chilies, they're such versatile vegetables. You can use them in almost all the dishes to add a little bit of spice, and quite basic medium for our Indian and Indonesian cooking that we do. With the chilies, it's also important to note that they absolutely love warm weather and a lot of sun, so they need at least 6 hours to 8 hours of sun, and they love warm soil. So if you have permafrost at night, they're not going to make it through that. So it's quite important that if you do expect cold climate to come in, it's important to bring them indoors. And they absolutely love that warm soil and a lot of sun. They can even take up to 10 hours of sun. If you do get an extreme amount of sun, you will notice that they need a lot of water as well. Chilies love regular watering, so you can do deep watering once a week and that should work extremely well. When it's extremely hot, we do go for twice a week of watering, but that's very rare. They can do quite well with deep watering once a week. We actually save some of these fruits and we dry them out and we collect the seeds and sow them back in again, so we never have to actually buy new seeds. And that tends to work really well for us. I have a video on saving seeds from chilies. I will put the link to that if you guys are interested. Once the seeds have completely dried out in the sun, what we tend to do is put them in the ground. You cover it very lightly with 1 inch of soil, no more. Don't put any mulch, otherwise it's not going to get through to the germination, and you put light water on it, not too much water, and you'll start to see the results 14 to 20 days. So in the beginning we add compost, and as we start to see those flower buds and the fruits, we switch over to a mix of compost and bone meal mix to ensure that there's enough phosphorus for the fruits to come up nicely. So with the pepper plants, what's also important to note is that you want to make sure that the plants have enough space to grow. So although a lot of gardeners recommend a foot between each of these pepper plants, that's not really necessary. What we love to do is actually bunch them together, but just give them sufficient amount of space to grow out. As you can see, we have a bunch of pepper plants here growing with the shallots and also the garlic and ginger, and that works quite well. There's no issue with companion planting. It does really well, and it also avoids a lot of the pests, and it also helps with the bringing in the pollinators. The chili plants, they do have the long tap roots as opposed to the more of the wide roots like the leafy greens. So what we recommend is always making sure that if you're going to grow these chili plants in the pots, you want to make sure that the pots are quite deep and it has enough space for it to really go deep in the pots, and to let the tap roots really develop well. Otherwise the foliage is not going to grow very well. Some of us, we do love to prune the pepper plants if we want to make it a bit more bushy and make sure that it's not extremely tall, rather it's growing a bit wider. And that's what we have done with some of the chili plants here. As you can see, they're quite short, but they're really bushy. But with this one, what we have done is, although we did prune it down, and you can see the mark here where we had pruned it, it has grown really bushy, but it's also getting taller again, so it might be time to prune again, but it's not quite necessary, so we might just leave it alone. With the chili plants, there's not a lot of diseases actually that you would ever encounter. We haven't had actually any diseases that we have faced, except maybe curl leaves, which are not very serious, and that's usually because of calcium deficiency. And you might see a few yellow leaves, but these are not serious. We just pluck them off. Same with the curl leaves. If you see any leaves that are curling out or getting brown, you just pluck them off, and that's really it. You can maybe apply a bit of neem oil if it's required. But really, chili plants are quite resilient. They do really well if you bring them from the nursery, if you give them enough fertilizer regularly and water. They are quite resilient to any diseases, any issues. What you don't want to do is overwater them, then you might get the root rot, but apart from that, we usually never have any issues. As I said before, these chili plants, they last forever. We have had these plants for more than 3 years. Some of them still do really well, so we absolutely love these plants. They have been their longest residents here. Actually, it's one of the first plants that we started out with in our garden. It was the chili plants. I'm going to do a little bit of harvesting before we go indoors. It's going to be very small harvest just for our lunch today, and we absolutely love using these chilies. Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, do hit the like, subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time. See you guys next time. Bye.